Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Micah. This is Winston. You guys are rocking with us on Micah's Intellectual Corner. On today's episode, we are diving back into some history dose. This is the Mongol destruction of the Khwarazmian. You already know I'm gonna call it Empire. Without further ado, though, we're just gonna dive right into it. I know this is gonna be a good one, so let's go ahead and go.
Through mountains and desert, beasts of burden have traveled to the city of Otrar, saddled with goods from the far east. The 400-man caravan slackens its pace before the famed Islamic metropolis, which glows with looming citadel and elegant contours of sandstone. Thereupon the travelers meet the governor of the town, Inalchuk, to whom they reveal that they bear a bountiful trade offering from their master. For the warring horse-bound nomads of the Golden Steppe have united under their lord. The Mongol riders now answer to the man called Temujin, the great Genghis Khan. Inalchuk sends word of this Mongol caravan to his nephew, Shah Mohammed II, the supreme ruler of Otrar in these lands.
Alright, guys, so this is gonna be good. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, what happened to the Khwarazmian Empire was pretty much and I could be wrong because I am not 100%, obviously fluent with this history, but if I'm not mistaken, Genghis Khan asked for their help in a battle or a conflict, and they took the opportunity in saying that they probably would win that, or that the Mongols were probably going to lose that battle, and that they would, if they didn't send anyone, so they didn't send anyone, and the Mongols ended up destroying that army, and they came back and then destroyed this empire and made a example out of them, pretty much, what they did, and why we have such a huge loss of life throughout history when it comes to the Mongols. So let's keep going.
Known as the Khwarazmian Empire. And with the blessing of the Shah, Inalchuk, driven either by suspicion or greed, executes the entire caravan and sells its precious cargo for his own profit. Yet one traveler escaped the bloodshed, and now...
Okay, never mind. I see which one it is now. They killed them, and then obviously that's a straight up act of war in Mongols' eyes, so anytime. So if I'm not mistaken, I guess that's what happened, and usually when that happens, that city and any other city that defies, that city is done regardless, but then any other city around them that defies and tries to put up a protest to their to Mongol rule and all that stuff, there's pretty much suffers the same fate, if I'm not mistaken. But let's keep going.
Escaped the bloodshed, and now he treks back to report to Genghis Khan. The Mongol answer arrives in short order at the palace of Shah Mohammed, 3 meager emissaries. The men implore the Shah to make peace with Genghis Khan and to hand over Inalchuk for punishment. The Shah has heard tales of this Mongol empire. A few years ago, he sent an emissary to the city of Jiangdu, or Beijing, China, the great pearl of the Jin dynasty. Walls that stretched 40 feet high concealed within a putrid vapor. For as the party advanced, the earth underfoot became slick with yellow pools of human fat, and what they perceived as banks of snow from a distance were chalky heaps of innocent bones. The Mongols have breached the Great Wall, and they are ravaging China. The Shah decides to arrest the 3 emissaries of the Khan. One he has killed. He forces the other 2 to return to Genghis Khan with their beards disgracefully shaven, carrying the head of their companion. The Shah does not fear war. Having recently annexed the eastern stretches of his domain and executed tens of thousands of civilians who resisted his rule, Shah Mohammed II styles himself a great conqueror, who answers neither to the Abbasid Caliph of Baghdad to his west, nor to strange Mongol nomads to his east. The edge of his empire ascends jagged in the east, to form a great barrier of mountains. The Shah knows when the Mongols come to retaliate, they will march through the gap between its peaks, the Zungarian Gate. Khwarazmian troops ride into position. But there is another pass, ancient and treacherous, through the mountains of Tian Shan. A cold white wind torments all who trespass its ravines and sheer cliffs, and there frozen bows rattle against huffing beasts. Marching through white dunes and staggered corridors is a Mongol force of 30,000. Descending from the mountains, they plunder the Fergana Valley until the Shah leads his army after them. The Mongols, though outnumbered and travel-weary, display their unfailing discipline and mastery. In brilliant charges and feints of light cavalry, the synchronous packs of riders rain arrows into Khwarazmian ranks. The larger Khwarazmian force bleeds troops but manages to hold its ground, and at day's end, each side retires to its camp. The Mongols disappear under cover of darkness, slip deeper into Khwarazmian territory. The Shah will learn that the army that has just repulsed his attack is only a vanguard force, led by the Khan's generals Jochi and Jebe. From the Zungarian Gate, more are coming. Inalchuk has readied Otrar for war. The gates are shut, and his general Karacha commands the strong garrison. Lining the walls, the lookouts perceive.
Yeah, one thing about the Mongol forces, you're never going to see a huge Mongol army by itself. They're always like, a Mongol army is always broken up. If I'm not mistaken, like 2 to 3 different pieces.
Lining the walls, the lookouts perceive a beating hum, galloping forth. It is said that then Inalchuk mounts his wall, and looking forth, finds no words, but bites the back of his hand in awe. For the air became blue, the earth ebony, the sea boiled with the noise of the drums. With his finger he pointed to the army on the plain, a host to which there was no end. This is the great Genghis Khan and his army, come to take revenge. The walls will hold them back for now, but the Mongols lay siege to Otrar, using newfound Chinese weaponry. As the gray months pass, the nomads circle the gates and sever supply lines into the city. Many suffering Khwarazmians possess only a tenuous fealty to the Shah. Some are subjects recently forced under his...
Yep, and the funny thing is too, I just had, there's this freaking, like little shorts thing that was talking about how, like, why the Mongols couldn't or didn't invade Europe and stuff like that, and I wrote this nice little comment that has like a pretty good amount of likes on it now. But pretty much I said that pretty much like there's not a lot that could stop them, because a lot of people were saying Mongols couldn't deal with mountains, Mongols couldn't deal with forests or stuff like that. I'm just or they couldn't deal with the castles and stuff. I'm thinking, like, have you not read or done anything with on documentary on Mongol culture or Mongol war tactics? Because none of that mattered. Like, they're the whole reason for the Black Plague outbreak in Europe, because you're freaking flinging your early specialists of freaking chemical warfare by flinging their deceased dead over the walls. You know what I'm saying? They don't give a crap about castles, or they use the mountains to their advantage usually, that by making flanking strategies and stuff like that. So it does not matter. But I know a lot of people that I've seen anyway, especially in that comment, were arguing like, no, mountains, they can't do mountains, they can't do. I'm like, dude, you just gotta watch one documentary. It doesn't matter. But I digress.
Some are subjects recently forced under his control, who suffer the crippling taxes he has levied to raise his army. In his despair, General Karacha rides out from the gate with his followers and defects. The Mongols welcome him into camp, only to tell him that his betrayal of the Shah reveals his own disreputation as an ally. They execute him and his officers. Traitors inside Otrar, seeking an end to the siege, open the unmanned gate and the Mongols charge in. They massacre soldiers and townspeople and pillage what they find. Inalchuk retreats to the citadel with his remaining troops. For weeks they resist until the last soldier, and barricading himself in a hopeless room which overlooks his fallen city, the wretched Inalchuk resorts to casting down bricks upon his foes. The Mongols drag him out and take him captive. Genghis Khan has proclaimed that the conflagration of the Khwarazmian Empire has been brought on by Inalchuk, a thief sick with greed, and so the Mongols decide to give the governor the precious metal he so desires. The Mongols pour molten silver into his eyes and ears, such that the defiant face of Inalchuk sears inward and spills at their feet. Others contend his end was more prosaic, that the Mongols simply strangled or trampled him to death. Regardless, Inalchuk is dead, and tens of thousands of Mongols under the Khan's generals now plunder the empire from all ends.
I mean, honestly, and all thinking, I mean, I don't know. There obviously that one Roman emperor that who invaded the Parthian Empire. I think it was said that he got that same, and he met the same end except it's gold. But I mean, I feel like it would probably be more probably safe to say that he probably got stomped out or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would men who really want that gold, you know what I'm saying, they pillage and everything else, waste it on something like that because they can't get that back ever. Well, I mean, they could, but anyway.
Shah Mohammed readies his army for a final stand, galloping out to meet them before the capital city of Samarkand. But Genghis Khan and the main force have disappeared, ventured into the vast Kizilkum desert, long thought impassable. Beneath ornate mosques, the humming markets of Bukhara have built the fortunes of aristocrats and concealed the dismal slums of the peasantry. It was here that Inalchuk sold the plunder from the Mongol caravan, and that is why, stealing the horizon, Genghis Khan and the Mongols advance on its walls. Having traversed the dunes of the Kizilkum, the Khan besieges Bukhara, using Khwarazmian prisoners as human shields in the assaults. After only a few days, thousands of troops emerge from the gate. The Mongols slaughter them and rush into the city. Genghis Khan decides to join them. One source records that the Khan addresses the city. "O people, know that you have committed great sins. If you ask me what proof I have for these words, I say it is because I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed these sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you." Scouring financial records, the Mongols identify the nobles who purchased the Khan's stolen cargo, and threaten that all who fail to return the valuables will be executed. The Mongols advance on the citadel at the city's heart.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think, I feel like they just really thought people were just like cattle, you know what I'm saying, back then, back in these days, even really all the way up until probably the 1800s, really, all the way, really, probably 20th century. It's just crazy to me, back in history, people were really just thought of as nothing but cattle, killing them was you know what I'm saying, people could kill an entire village and then go eat breakfast the next day, or in a few hours, you know what I'm saying. It's just crazy things about this.
Advance on the citadel at the city's heart, forcing their civilian prisoners forward until their bodies fill the moat, at which point the Mongols drive siege weapons over them and breach the walls, killing all of the soldiers within. Few inhabitants are spared the depredations of the pillaging Mongols, who torture the rich into relinquishing their valuables, violate screaming young women, and kill, conscript, enslave, or banish all other civilians. The city catches fire. Its mosques and slums are left in ashes as the Mongol army rides out and marches on the capital of Samarkand. The Mongols near the walls and devastate the Khwarazmian charges that come to relieve the city. Genghis Khan then learns that the Shah has threaded the Mongol line and vanished into the wilderness. He sends thousands of troops under Jebbe and his finest general Subutai to track the Shah, while his main force moves to finish Samarkand. The Kangli and Turkic defenders in the capital ask to surrender and insist that they had never wished to resist the Mongols. Genghis promises them that they will be spared, but his cold pragmatism and truth permits none to resist. As soon as they give up their weapons, the Mongols kill all of them. They systematically massacre the rest of the town, sparing only a handful of useful artisans and a few women to take as concubines. And as the Shah flees, the scythe falls on each of his cities. Sporadic Khwarazmian victories serve only to enrage the invaders. In Urgench, vengeful Mongol generals puncture the dams that hold back the river and drown every soul within. Later, in Nishapur, it is said that the Mongols separated into stinking piles the heads of men, women, and children, sparing almost no living thing. Dark legends of the Mongols no doubt grow wild in these lands, where Genghis has come to be called the Accursed One. The Khwarazmian throne that defied him has been deserted, for Shah Muhammad II has been hunted to the wild outskirts of his kingdom, only a day's pace ahead of Subutai and his troops. The Mongols capture most of the Shah's family. They kill all of his sons they find and take his daughters as concubines. Then they banish his mother to Mongolia to live the rest of her days in poverty. And hidden on an island surrounded by the somber waves of the Caspian, the Shah yields to some disease. In the coming year of 1221, his son Jalal ad-Din will rout many Mongols and lead a Khwarazmian resistance until Genghis Khan personally crushes his army and forces him into the jungles of India. The Khan knows that in Asia and Europe there are yet many peoples and places to conquer, and so across the burning lands once claimed by the Shah, the Mongols press onward. The Mongols are already, in my opinion, the greatest warriors of all time, but I was still entranced by the documentary Timur, Mongol Messenger from Magellan TV. Actually seeing stampeding Mongol horse archers is a beautiful and terrifying thing. It's what many doomed people would have seen 800 years ago. You'll learn a lot about the Mongols in the documentary, and all History Dose viewers can go watch it for free right now. In fact, click the link in the description and you'll get an exclusive free month of membership to Magellan TV. You'll have access to Timur, Mongol Messenger.
Alright, guys, we'll go ahead and end it right there. So yeah, it's just kind of crazy to think about, like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying, it just, I don't know, just to be alive back then and just think to yourself, like, yeah, you know, I hold my life and my family's life with value, but everybody else around me, like, you know what I'm saying, to them, they're just, you know what I'm saying, nothing, roaches, or something, you know what I'm saying, just crazy things. But in any case, though, who wouldn't want to be in a freaking Mongol army, you know what I'm saying, and be able to, no, I'm just fine. But in any case, though, thank you guys again for joining me on this episode of Mike's Intellectual Corner. Say peace out to Winston. I'll see you guys when I see you. I'm out. Peace.